So this is Ralph Eckert for Billiard Network, and today's tutorial is about center field. So I guess you heard about that the center of the pool table is the most important position field you have here. So the idea is, from the center field concept, is to learn to get the cue ball out of every position. Out of every position, you need to have a plan how to bring the cue ball into the center field. And that's all about it today. And if you check out the positions of those balls, you can see also in the diagram and check their positions. And the check is, if you have one try on every shot, how many out of 8 can you pocket and park the cue ball in this small little center field here. And this is the beginner's version, and later on we're going to have 3 harder versions for the more experienced players, of course. And let's start with this. And if you followed the tutorial, the whole tutorial so far, then you will recognize that here come first time we get 2 things together. It's speed and direction. So before, in all those drills, we had the main focus was either way on direction, either way on speed, feeling, either way on pocketing, or patterns we didn't have so far, but they will come later on. So those are the main 4 things you need in order to play very good pool. And today we have the first time we have direction and speed coming together. Maybe you got 20% of pocketing skills still needed because you have ball in hand. I think it's 20% only, not that difficult. But the main target is like 30%, like 40% on direction ability, and 40% on speed, feeling you need to get. So here, let's start with the first one. You got ball in hand. Which way would you choose to go? Maybe with a direct draw into the field, maybe over this rail, using the tangent line. When you follow that tangent line, it will bring you directly there. But you can also go for natural roll, maybe. Natural roll will bring you over here and over there, so you need maybe 1 tip size of side spin, right side, and then you got the direction, the rest is just the speed feeling, right? And, oh, lucky, exactly the center. So, and then the next one is, and by the way, of course, there are several ways. In your practice, you should try every version how to get in the center, okay? Every version you can find to get the cue ball in the center. But in the documentation day, you know our differences. In the documentation day, once a week only, you got only 1 chance, and then you decide the way you feel most comfortable with. So on the 2 ball, yes, you can still go maybe for kind of the same version. You have to change the angle, and then you can do almost the same shot. But I feel, for example, most comfortable if I come from the line from the side pocket. And then I know when I pocket this ball with approximately 40 degrees here, the natural outcome would be something like this. So I'm gonna maybe miss that field slightly if I just play natural. But when I know it's gonna get there naturally, then I know 1 tip size of left side spin will be quite fine to get me near the center zone. So let's try that. All right. So, and then we need to change the alignment, so we're going to check out also 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's have a look at them. So here we are, the 3 ball. Of course, this is just my recommendation to play it from over here, coming from that diamond. So this is like at a 60-degree angle, if you remember our different shots we had. Of course, I would recommend to practice also version, for example, like this, potting it and draw it back directly into it. Give yourself a slight angle, or even without, you can create the angle by cheating the pocket. And then remember what we had on speed feeling on the draw shots, right? If you remember, then you would know that it's draw shot number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw shot number 4 and 5 will get you into this field. So you can remember that if you practiced that before. You got it in your feeling. Oh, I remember how draw shot number 4 and 5 feels like. Okay, so now we're getting a few things coming together, what we have learned from all the other tutorials we had before. And then, of course, you can give yourself also more angle like this and see how you get over 2 rails over there. But this is maybe not so good for a beginner's version, right? So, but with ball in hand coming as close as you want, with this 60-degree angle here, almost, then I know from 60-degree angle that this cue ball will come out straight out of the rail. So it's going to land over there. So what I have to do in order to bring it there, 1 tip size might bring it over there, 1.5 tip size will bring it over there. And from there the outcome is like this. So 1.5, maybe 2 tip sizes will be fine of left side spin to get inside the field. And then, yeah, get the right feeling for it. And we had that also, right? Just in the last tutorial. Speed feeling on 60 and 70-degree shots. Remember that. All right. So here we go. And remember, documentation is 1 try only, how many out of 8 you can get. And if you are in the training session, then you just practice or do the shot until you get this at least once. Or better players practice until you get it 2 or 3 times in a row. Up to you. Let's have a look at 4-ball. This might be the most difficult one to get into the square here. I recommend, it's a draw shot, right? I mean, I wouldn't recommend, especially for beginners, to try a follow shot here and let the cue ball follow there. But you're free to do it in any way. I would recommend to set up a draw shot with an angle coming from approximately that diamond. And then I wouldn't recommend to put too much spin into it, because from that, this is like 10 degrees or 15. From there, if you remember our session tutorial, where does the draw shot go? If you make just a low quality draw shot and it's a feeling like 1, 2, 3, draw shot number 3 and 4 will get you into the field from that position. Of course, you can do it, bring it back a little bit to get yourself more comfortable. Like this. And yeah, let's continue from there. Let's have a look at the next balls from different positions in the next scene. Okay, here we are at the 5-ball. And yeah, I would recommend just give yourself like a 10-degree angle, approximately. And if you remember the tutorial, 10-degree angle, kiss shot tangent line, it will bring the cue ball in direction of the side pocket, right? And if you remember, if I play a replacement, it would be, oh no, that's if I play a backslide, it will be like maybe 1 diamond apart from this distance, right? That's almost a half table length. So if I play a little bit more than a backslide, a draw, then I'm already in. That would be fine. A totally super draw will be here, right? So play like a medium draw shot quality. And remember, it must feel like speed on a draw shot, like draw shot 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So, just like that. And then, for the 6th ball, of course, on the 5 you are free to try also from this angle, maybe going one rail into the rail and out. Then you can remember our drill we had on the 30-degree angle, right? The 20, 30-degree angle shots on speed. We had almost exactly that. And for the 6th ball, I would recommend maybe to come from an angle. I mean, if you pot the 6th ball and you see the tangent line, it will, maybe this short edge you can catch with a stub shot. But when you play like a backslide, then you're already in, right? If you play for a stub shot, it would reduce the angle a little. And if you go, the other concept would be to go by spin. Natural outcome, when you give yourself a bigger angle like this is almost 45 degrees, then I know natural outcome would be here. So 1 tip size will be like this of right side spin, and 2 tip sizes might also be in. But if you go with a spin in this case, because it's frozen to the rail, it matters what are you gonna hit first, ball or rail. Because in order to make that ball, you have to hit basically rail and ball at the same time, which is physically not possible. You're always going to hit this or that first. And this has a big impact on the cue ball path, especially when you use side spin. Not much of a difference on follow or draw, no matter if you hit rail or ball first, not much. But a big difference in when you use side spin. So, if I use right side spin, for example, and I'm going to hit ball first, then the rail, of course, the side spin takes action. But if I give the same amount of side spin and I hit rail first and then ball, everything's still close enough that both balls will go in, then it will just act like a natural outcome. Okay? So that's why I would probably recommend to use not so much side spin and use a smaller angle and go for a backslide. Oh, yeah, still in. So, of course, after a while you will get the feeling, maybe a little bit more of a backslide would be closer here, a little bit less speed over there, or keep the speed and reduce the angle. You get a feeling for it just by this. And because here, speed and direction works together. Let's have a look at the 7 ball. I would recommend to come from an angle anywhere between those 2 diamonds, because this is close to 40, 45 degree, and from there I know by experience, and you can figure out by the tutorials we had also, I know natural outcome would be like this. And not exactly straight, but like this probably. So I use only a touch of right side spin, not even a diamond. It will bring me maybe more like this. I mean, not even a tip size. It would be more like a half tip size of right side spin, but natural. To get the cue ball out straight. And yeah, let's have a look at the last ball over here. And there we are forced to play that ball in that pocket. Any other balls were free, you can choose your pocket, but that's the only exception. You have to play it somewhere from over there to bring it into that pocket, because I need also an example for a longer pot. Let's have a look at this. So, but before we come to this, I want to do also, you see, the 6th ball. I just showed one example, but don't forget, practice also other versions. For example, using left side spin and going maybe 2 rails, passing the 8, going into it, or maybe with a draw shot into it. That's up to you. But in training, if you're not documentation, you do your favorite thing. And training, you try also other versions, of course. The same applies to the 7 ball, right? I showed you this version, but you can also try, for example, that version. Tangent line will bring you like this already in, right? Maybe a little bit lower than, closer to a backslide, and you are just fine. You can also try from this side and try a follow and go in like this. That's your task when you train, of course, to check out all the other senseful possibilities. Not so much the exotic ones, right? When you have to go up and down, and land somewhere in the middle. And for the 8 ball, which is the only ball which is fixed to that pocket, you got 2 choices basically. I mean, logical choices, exotic ones are always available. You can take this angle and try to get it naturally into it, or this angle and try to go over this rail natural into it. And from there, it's like a 20-degree shot. And if you remember the natural outcome of a 20-degree shot, then you know we are pretty close to this field just by natural row. Maybe I need a little bit more speed on that one. So I get 7 out of 8 this time. But, of course, to fulfill that, let's repeat that. A little bit stronger than before. Could have used a little bit more speed even. But that's fine. And now we are coming to the harder versions, okay, for the more intermediate and very good players. It's for both, covers both. And but the last word on this version, which is good for, even for beginners, they can see some land here if they have some advice like this. They can get it sooner or later, requires more tries. But you can move to the next level if you if you are fine by achieving maybe one time at least 7 out of 8 or 6 at least before you move to the next level. And maybe on 2 or 3 different occasions. 8 out of 8, you're ready anyway. And but with those positions, those shots, also with the other versions you practice, you cover basically every ball, with ball in hand of course, and you have from everywhere an idea how to get to the center field. Even though in the game you don't have ball in hand, you see a familiar shot somewhere, somehow, and how to get there. Or you see that there's no way to get there, right? And for the other versions, which are maybe not covered, the more complicated ones, you just take a look at our next 3 versions for the better players. Let's set them up, and we change also the size of the field for that. So, here we are at this version, which looks, intermediate, I would say so. And maybe you recognize here, you can see also in the diagrams, we made the field a little larger. It has now 4 diamond squares here. Of course, for the intermediate players, that's fine. Maybe the top players, they can also challenge themselves and use only the middle one. But in our tests, in accordance to the diagrams you see, it's the big one. And this is difficult enough, okay? And you will discover, even though it doesn't look, it looks maybe a little bit more easy for a good player, it's still difficult enough. Let's have a few words to it. It's an endless version, which means it's not only 4 balls here on the task. If you play the 1 and maybe then the 4, the 3, the order is not given. You don't have to play by order, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can play any order. And you start with ball in hand inside the field somewhere. And you just have to bring the cue ball, no matter how many rails, back in the center field. And then you continue with the next ball of your choice. And if you clear the table with all 4 balls, remaining the cue ball somewhere in the field, you continue exactly with this position, set up another 4 balls, the same ones, and continue. And then you can make 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. What kind of number do you think are you capable of to go for? What would be your goal? How many balls in a row playing like that into this field? I would say top players would aim for something more than 20. Our intermediate players, they go for a number like 12 or 16. That's fine. And if it's more in between, barely escape the first level, then of course the first goal would be like 8, right? So let's start with this. And if you remember, our last training tutorial, it was about shots on speed on 10 to 20 degree shots. And then we had to hit the rail here and come back in this direction. So if you remember that, you have to play like a follow on speed 5 and 6, right? It was 1 rail, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you're just fine if you remember that. And if you have practiced that, that's a nice start for you, just by natural. And then wherever it lands, you choose next shot. This one, or this, or this. That's up to you. And the basic information here also is, when you train that, is, you got only 2 possibilities, or 2 regular shots here. The first one I just showed you. Maybe the next one, I could do this almost the same with the 3 ball, because the natural outcome is almost again here in the field. But if I would have maybe the 4 ball only left, then I would probably go over 2 rails, right? But let's continue with the 3. Almost the same, a bigger distance, and you see natural outcome is almost the same here. And now, if you draw a line between those 2 balls, or the previous ones over there, then there's one law you can adapt. If you're on this side, like this, then I would recommend 2 rails. And if you're on that side with the cue ball, then I would recommend 1 rail. And as you see, the cue ball is almost on the border here. So it's a hard decision. Some players would go for that, some players would go for this. And so I would go naturally, it will be like this. So I have to give 1 tip size inside. To get back where it is. And then you can do the same law. I'm a little bit on that side. I could go also for 2 rails, but also can do the same shot like I just did with 1 tip size inside. But let's do the other version with 2 rails. So 2 rail. Natural outcome would be, probably near the side pocket. So I would recommend 1 or 2 tip sizes, and then it will be automatically over 2 rails into that field. And after achieving that, you just set up any other or the same balls, 4 balls, and continue from there. Let's see how many you can get. So here we are at the next version. But maybe just a few words on that last version also, because I forgot to say, when you shoot that shot, for example, then sometimes it's not a speed mistake what you do. Sometimes it's just when you aim for the middle of the pocket and you pick the right speed, the correct speed to get back into the field. But accidentally you're sloppy on aiming and you hit maybe the pocket over there, it might be too much speed left on the cue ball and you're ending up near behind that. Or if you accidentally hit over there, then it might be too slow. So it's like from here to there, the difference is almost 1 diamond in speed. So take a look at this also. And here on the next version, you see 1 ball size away from the rail. On the opposite side, they are on the same diamond, and here they are on the middle diamond. And so I try to cover with this whole series of 3 versions of this intermediate level. With those 3 versions, I try to cover almost everything which is on the table, right? Going this way or that way. I mean, with this first version, I cover everything which is near that spot. With this version, I cover everything which is near the rail. And with the other version, I cover other shots near the foot and head spot and near the side pocket. So from there, by practicing those, you get an idea from almost every situation you had, right? Or you can get how to get back in the center field of the table, which is most important. And if we start, you can start anywhere. I don't have to start with the 1 ball. I can start also here. More easy for me right now would be 2 ball. And here again, when you practice this, and the idea is in the beginning, they underestimate this kind of drill. The first version, this version, or the other. Because it looks easy. But you will, if you try it by yourself, you will see it's much harder. Kind of frustrational in the beginning. But if you put some time in it, you will see you can catch up very fast. The development is fast. You could benefit a lot from this drill. This is one of the most powerful drill system with the center field I ever invented. I invented them in the late 90s. I mean, they used this kind of field, of course, before also when they played. But let's see here. How to play the 2 ball and get the cue ball back in the center. If you see that line, the tangent line, it will hit over the rail there and going probably this direction. So I just need to play like a backslide or a little bit more than a backslide. And well, let's play a stop or backslide, okay, which is coming close to that. But then I put also 1 tip size of spin in it, and then I'm quite fine, right? So. Could have been a little bit harder, but that's what it was. Backslide with 1 tip size of left side spin to get back there. And then from there, you can do the same rule like we did from the previous version. You can draw lines from 1 ball to the other, and these lines. And if you are, for example, on this side of the line, and you're going for this, it's pretty obvious that you go 2 rails. If you're on that side, it's pretty obvious that you go 1 rail only, or the follow 3 rails, okay? And the same thing if you go for that. So this side, right? On this side, I would go 2 rails. On this side, with this distance, I still go for 2 rails. But yeah, if it's closer there, I would probably go only 1 rail. So you have only like 2 cases you have to get familiar with, but 1 or 2 exotic ones you have to get familiar with too. But let's have a look at those in the next scene. So here we are back, same position. I left the position. And so if we're on that side, we go 2 rails. And this ball is on the first diamond. Natural outcome would be like this, probably, right? So I would need like 1, 2, 3 tip sizes to get in there. And I wouldn't go for that. So but where is the tangent line? The tangent line is here, like this, approximately. So a stop shot will go here and there, right? So maybe I use a stop shot or a backslide. Backslide would already be, it's big of an angle, won't be that much, maybe like this. A backslide will bring me over there. So maybe one tip size extra will bring me over there. So a backslide plus one tip size is fine, right? So that's the main thing. So all the things we learned before coming now together. It's not just putting up the drill and practice until you get it. You have to get some fundamental information and know how you get there. This will help you a lot in moment of pressure. It's good to have the knowledge. It's called self-competence. If you got self-competence, you won't be in so much danger to get nervous if you're hitting a big stage, okay? If you're under pressure. So it's always helpful if you got that knowledge as well. So let's have a look at it. So it was like a stop shot with more than a tip size, or a backslide like a tip size of right side spin. That's fine. Accidentally, you see, I put a little bit more. It was like a backslide and 1.5 tip sizes landing here. Still fine. Okay. So let's have a look at the next one. If you cross that line, we are clearly on that side. So here I would have, again, a 2-rail shot, or here, my choice. So the line is not thin. The line is big. Some players will go, if they are on the border or right on the line, some players will go 1 rail, some players will go 2 rails, individual choice. And depends also on the rail. Fast rail, you prefer 2 rails. Slow rail, you can hold it easier, so then you prefer probably 1 rail. This, for example, would be natural outcome with this kind of angle is almost straight. It's 50 degrees maybe, so it's going to drop maybe over there. So from natural, I don't have to go for the tangent line, because tangent line means I have to play a stop shot. Stop shot means I need a minimum of speed to have the cue ball sliding over there. And I have a big angle, so I might have too much speed. So if I have to use a soft kind of a speed, because I don't need much speed, I have a bigger angle, right? Like 50 degrees. Then the natural outcome is here. Maybe 1 tip size is probably here, and that's already fine. Maybe for securance, a little bit more, 1.5. I wouldn't try 2 tip sizes, it's a little bit too dangerous because of that side pocket. So let's try that. Just 1.5 tip sizes approximately. That's it. And then you just continue here. I don't have to show everything. And if you're successful on that one, you can do the same thing. Stop shot, this direction, and 1 tip size, or a little bit more, or backslide with 1 tip size to get over 2 rails. There's also a 3-rail version, high left. You're going to try also here and there, but it's not my common thing, but for some players it is. No, this or that way, you have to get familiar with all the versions, right? And yeah, maybe I do this high left, why not? But then you have to get a lot of left here. Not a first-class field, but still in, as you see. And from this position you continue when you set up the next 4 balls. And how many can you get? 4, 8, 16, 100? Thorsten Hohmann maybe, I don't know. But let's have a look at the next version. So here we are at the next version, the 3rd one on the center field drill, final one. And you see the setup. Head spot, foot spot, and those are on the halfway between our field and side pocket. You can start with every ball. You don't have to start with the one. It don't have to be the one ball. You can choose any ball to start with. Mandatory is one rail. Same applies to the previous versions, but it's hard to avoid the rail anyway over there. But here you are not allowed to pot that and make just the draw shot number 3 or so to get back into that field. At least hit one rail, okay? So let's start with this, because I remember if we have like a 10-degree angle here, we had a previous drill in the last tutorial over there, but I told also in the intermediate drill version, you can set it up there and bring the cue ball down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fields. And then we know, okay, with this kind of angle, I get a natural straight outcome from the cue ball. Just have to pick the right speed to come back to it. And to get the right speed, we had previous drills. So everything comes together here. Okay, so here, depends on your position a little bit. You have like maybe 30% of potting ability needed and 35 and 35 on direction and speed feeling. So what's up next? From this position, I could, of course, go also for this one, because this shot you can get anywhere, right? From the outside part, like one rail, and if you're near the center, then it's 2 rails, very softly to play, and you get almost automatically in there. Then, same applies to this, and here in the middle, one rail. Would you try? Go one rail and a lot of right side spin to get back into it directly? Or would you go 1, 2, 3 rails into it? That's up to you. But my recommendation is always, I prefer now the 2 ball because it's closer, obviously. And I got the law, if I'm in a straight line, maybe a ball size to the left and the right, then I know I can go for 3 rails. Requires a little bit more speed than you think, because it's a long way and the main force is going to the 2 ball, right? So it needs a lot of follow. It's like a natural almost, with 1 tip size of side spin. And here we got the other case. If you are in the middle, 1 ball size maybe here, so this is like this, then yes, you can go 3 rails. If you are here, I can't go 3 rails because tangent line, I need power. I will end up more maybe like this and then way too long. No way. So here I choose another way. Of course, I can also go for the 3. Which number you go for is up to you. But here I would recommend, tangent line goes here. So maybe a backslide or a little bit more of a draw to get here near this diamond. You don't have to be exactly, it would be nice, but you got a tolerance by more than a half diamond to the left and the right. And you will see with 1 or 2 tip sizes of right side spin and a little draw, you will get always back into this direction. So it's a standard. Or you should make yourself a standard out of it. Near the middle diamond, then you see it comes almost automatically back into the field. Pretty soft, a little bit harder. I have the full tolerance here, right? And with this angle, I can have, almost a straight in, straight out shot, but it's very flat. It's almost one of those exotic cases, which we would have also when you remember the first version over here. That's one of the exotics where you have probably follow and go 2 rails or draw 1 rail. That's different case, of course. So this one is, less angle, so it might come out naturally over there. So I just have to correct it, not a proper follow, but not that high than usually in order to get it back straight there. And then you set them up again and see how many you can get. Let's have a few more final words, and then we are through with this tutorial. So now some final words for this center field drill. If you make yourself familiar, doesn't matter with this version, or whatever version, okay? Or also you can invent by yourself some other versions too, why not? Before you get bored, practice. But you will see standards then, a lot of standards. Or for example, when you go for this version, when I had this, and you remember, natural over there, 1, 2 tip sizes, and you will come back into it. You have standards. Of course, anybody can say, I just do it by feeling. That's fine, do it by feeling. But if you're going for feeling only, then you will have some good days and some bad days, of course. And if you have some standards, some references in direction, in speed, what we already learned. If you have some references, then it will help you in your weekdays that your ability won't drop that much. And if you have good days, anyway, you can go just by feeling, why not? But all those references help your feeling to get information. I mean, all those references will give will help to make your feeling more precise, okay? And however with whatever situation you learned how to get into the center field, you know also if in another game you don't need a center field but maybe a more position like this, then you know, okay, a little bit harder than my standard to follow through to get this position, maybe for a shot which is over there, right? Or softer, stopping already here, because another shot is like there, okay? So you have a standard and you can always adjust. You're easier, you have the ability to adjust. And also if the balls are not perfectly on the spot, if they're in a game there, once you train the feeling is transferable. So you don't have to put in, if you put in maybe a couple hours getting this ball into the field, and now in a game it's over there, you don't have to put in the same amount of hours, right? The feeling is transferable. So this series of center field will have, even though it might be frustrating in the beginning, it will have a tremendous impact if you put just a few hours in it. So I wish you good luck with it. Success, and this was Ralph Eckert for Billiard Network. See you for the next tutorial. And, it's an American tradition to have some advertisement, right? How about that? So here, don't forget, you can order, structure the whole program in the book, and just email me, office@ralpheckert.com, or some of the other books as well. And the testing thing will also be included. Thank you very much. See you next time. Ralph Eckert for Billiard Network.